I think that one point we should make at the outset is that we should be careful about speculating too much about this case until the charges are unsealed. And even when they are unsealed, it's worth stressing that we won't know for a while what the entire underlying evidentiary basis is for the prosecutor's case. What we do know is that this involves charges surrounding alleged hush money payments paid to Stormy Daniels. This goes all the way back to 2006 when Stormy Daniels alleged that she had sex with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has denied that. He has, however, admitted to paying through his attorney, Michael Cohen, in 2016 in the lead up to the election, money to Stormy Daniels. Now, it's important to stress that there's nothing illegal per se about essentially having someone else sign a non-disclosure agreement in exchange for silence. But the charge here, what seems to be the charge, is that if this was done in furtherance of a larger crime, namely a campaign finance violation. Could be, to an extent, cooking the books, but I think really it's unlikely that prosecution would come up unless it dealt with sort of this larger issue of campaign finance. But again, it's really important to stress that we don't know what these counts are actually going to involve.
How relevant to this story is the allegiance of the Attorney General, Alvin Bragg, who's brought this case?
Well, I think it's certainly an issue that Donald Trump is trying to place front and center. So Alvin Bragg was, of course, nominated by a Democrat, and the entire charge from the Trump camp is that this is a Democratic hit job, it's a witch hunt, it's a political vendetta, and that if it were anyone else but Donald Trump who were at the center of these controversies, the charges would not be filed. I think it is important to stress that the Department of Justice, federal authorities, have long declined to charge this case. And so if you're a Republican, you might say, well, if the Justice Department doesn't even think that there is sufficient evidence to go after Donald Trump, then, of course, what we're seeing is essentially just a political vendetta from a prosecutor.
Thomas, talk us through the battle plan here for the lawyers, the two lawyers representing Trump, because it seems like it'll be everything from trying to get the case thrown out of court to actually prepping Trump himself for trial.
Well, thanks, Karen, for that question. I think there are a couple issues to look at. First of all is just the timeline. So I think that we really can expect motion after motion, appeal after appeal, trying to get the charges dismissed. But even if the case can't get dismissed, just trying to delay this as long as possible, to stretch it out until essentially we get into the heat of the 2024 campaign. And so I think that a big issue to look at here is whether Donald Trump is running the trial essentially or the judge is running the trial. Can the judge sort of get this underway swiftly, or are we just going to see, Donald Trump's typical tactics, which is to slow this thing down until maybe another prosecutor comes into office and we never actually see the charges filed. But, there's a legal aspect, and of course, what we're going to see from Donald Trump in the court of public opinion. We've already seen Donald Trump accuse the judge of being biased. I think we can expect more of the same. A lot of social media posts by Donald Trump trying essentially to turn the jury of public opinion, which I think is what he's more concerned about than actually what's going on inside the courtroom.